Welcome to Spill the Soup, the podcast that gives you insight into the life of a 2021 teenager in these incredible times. I'm your host, Marley Camito, and this week we're going to be talking about the power of social media and how we manage to separate the social media world from the real one. Today I am joined by two guests and wonderful friends of mine, Jessica Paul and Alexis Horowitz. I want to welcome you both to the show. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
If you want to introduce yourselves, feel free. Maybe say your name, age, like what year of school that you're in, and where you go to school.
Okay. I am Jessica Paul. I'm 17 years old. I go to Armstrong High School, and I'm a senior.
Beautiful.
My name's Alexis Horowitz. I'm also 17 years old, and I go to Hopkins High School.
Amazing. Okay. So to everyone else listening, I just kind of wanted to give a little disclaimer that we wanted to keep this conversation as open and honest as possible. Jessica, Alexis, and I will be sharing as much as we feel comfortable with, and we hope that you respect our opinions. What we talk about today is simply from our personal experiences, not based on any facts or right versus wrong. So with that being said, let's get into the episode. I really want to start off by just asking you guys kind of some rapid questions about your social media use, just to kick things off. So, which app or website do you think that you use the most, and why do you think that is? Who wants to go first?
I can go first. I'd say probably Instagram or Twitter. Twitter is like, a lot of kids our age don't really use it, but it's like literally, it's hilarious. It's probably one of the funniest apps to be on, like to see what people say. Instagram for me, I really like seeing like my friends and seeing people that I love and my family. I like connecting with people through Instagram, and not only can you see the people you know, but you can also see, people from outside your little bubble, outside of your hometown. You can see celebrities, you can see people from all over the world. It's just a really cool platform to be on. And you can also like instant message, and it's honestly really fun to like play around with sometimes.
Yeah, I totally agree. What about you, Jess?
I would say I like fully interact more with Instagram, but lately I definitely have been spending the most time on TikTok because it's like addicting. I go on it and it's hard to stop watching just because there's such like a wide variety of content and everything on there. But definitely I interact and like use Instagram the most.
Yes, those are my two answers too. I totally think TikTok is so addictive just because they're literally just 15-second videos. And so I think with all of us in our short attention spans, it's so nice to just always have new content every second.
Yes.
But also Instagram, like you were saying, Alexis, because I like seeing everyone's pictures, and I feel like it's the most easy app where you can really network with people of all ages and from all over the world. Okay, next question. Which app do you think is the most useful, or at least one that you think that everyone should have? Whether that's like as a teenager or as an adult.
I feel like
you think.
I think Facebook's a pretty useful app. I mean, it's definitely like for our generation and our age, not a lot of people have it. I personally really like it because I kind of can see like everyone's posts, but a lot of like colleges use it for like Facebook groups, and I know like sports teams of mine, that's been our like form of communication, so it can be a very like wide used platform for not only just like posting pictures and everything.
Totally.
This is hard. Honestly, Twitter. Like, Twitter is so underrated with our age group, but I mean, when I was growing up, I used to like watch the news. Like, it would always be on. I'd always turn the news on because I thought it was interesting. But now, like, I will just go into Twitter and all my news is there right at my fingertips. Like, it's so easy, and like it's news, but it's also like people's opinions on the news, and I think it's very useful for everyone, no matter what your age is. And I mean, Facebook, I don't know how to work Facebook. I seriously cannot work it. I don't know how to do anything. I don't know how to post. I always like come across some problems with Facebook. But for like,
That's how I feel about
Yeah,
Twitter.
Twitter
though.
is so
And
complicated.
I want to ask you, because how do you deal with like all the Twitter trolls? I feel like there's no social media platform that has trolls like Twitter, and it ruins it. So do you kind of just not let that bother you? Or that's literally the one thing that holds me back from getting a personal Twitter
you see,
account.
I don't tweet. I just like to see what other people are saying. So that's how, I like to see what other people say. I don't personally listen to anything, but for like, I don't know. I think Twitter is just, it's so underrated. I mean, no one our age uses it. And that's what I think.
Yeah.
It's like, it's even funnier that no one our age uses it. But yeah, I mean, I see why people say Facebook, because I feel like it's definitely more adulty. It's more like mature than the other social medias.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and with like colleges using it too, it's definitely going to be more important in our lives as we get older. But like for us right now, I'm still a bit confused.
Yeah, that was literally like my answer exactly, because I feel like it's necessary to have a Facebook, just because when you're networking with adults or business, like even when I was going on a teen tour a few years ago to Israel, they said join the Facebook group. And that was the reason that I even got a Facebook to begin with. Like I never had one, and it wasn't like join our Instagram DM or join the Snapchat group, it was join the Facebook group. And so from then on, and then how, like you guys were saying, college group chats, all adults are on Facebook, and so you want to seem more professional by having a Facebook account. But I think for teenagers, it's most important to have an Instagram handle, because I don't know, like if I'm meeting somebody and I say, "What's your Instagram?" and they're like, "Oh, I don't have one." Like it sounds horrible, but I'm gonna kind of think like you're weird. Like, why don't you have an Instagram? Everybody has an Instagram. And so if there's, oh, it's just a personal preference, but I have a Snapchat, I would think that that's weird. Rather, like I have an Instagram, but I don't have a Snapchat. Does that make sense?
That's weird. Like,
Yeah,
how are
I
you
feel
gonna
like
have?
Yeah,
Instagram-
like I feel like you should have one.
Yeah, how are you gonna have a Snapchat but not an
Instagram's like more across the board. Also, like with Facebook, you have to be careful too. I mean, this is more so with all social media platforms, but like I feel like Facebook, you can like look a lot of people up and find a lot of stuff. So maybe it's like better that some kids our age don't have Facebook, because like you go for a job interview, like they could look your name up on Facebook and they're gonna. I don't know. There's just some people that their Instagram posts I do not think should be on Facebook, but it's like the difference of kind of
the privacy I think that Instagram gives you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like exactly what you were just saying. How if I look somebody up on Facebook, I can see like not only their feed, but what they're tagged in. Whereas on Instagram, you would have to like request to follow them, and they have a private account before seeing all that. And I'm sure Facebook has something like that too, but it's more confusing to figure out. Okay, I have another question. At what age did you guys make your first social media accounts, and do you think that was the right time to? I have an answer to this. I can go first. I think I made my Instagram account in 5th or 6th grade, and then a Snapchat account in 7th grade when I started junior high. And it seemed like the right time to make those accounts then, because everybody else was making one and I didn't want to have like FOMO. But looking back, I totally wish I'd waited longer, because I feel like once you start, you don't stop. Like it becomes addictive. The FOMO becomes real. You need to see what's happening. And we'll get into that more later. But I think especially today, so many young kids are getting social media accounts like at a really young age. And I think to myself, like, why do you have an Instagram? You're in elementary school. But then did we do that? Is it weird to do that now? I don't know. What did you guys say?
Okay, I just looked I joined Snapchat in 2012. I don't know what age. I don't know what grade that was.
Holy.
Yeah.
That was like 3rd grade.
Probably. So like obviously I joined very young. I don't know when I got an Instagram. I think though probably like I got like an iPod. That was my big thing. Like I had my iPod and I probably got the app and downloaded it. Not that I was probably had anyone to Snapchat or anyone to like see their posts, but yeah, I joined in 2012.
Oh my gosh. Okay. What about you, Alexis?
For me, I was definitely a late bloomer to the social media, because I mean, like I had an iPod like growing up, but like when I was growing up, I mean, like iPods, I don't know. I went to like a private school, and I feel like social media wasn't really a big thing there. Like, you wouldn't really, it just wasn't really a thing. And then, I had my iPod, but I didn't like have Instagram or Snapchat on it. And then I got my first like iPhone in 7th grade, I think. And that's when I downloaded Snapchat, Instagram, those apps. And then, I mean, I feel like and I felt like it was necessary for me because I was going from the Jewish day school. There was like 30 other kids in my class. Like, it's very small, and I'm going to a new environment and I need to meet new people. And so when I was transitioning to public school, I felt like I needed social media to network and connect with people and make friends. And I think looking back, I now know that that's not true. You can do that without social media, and it's pretty social media is pretty harmful, but I regret that. I regret thinking back then that I needed social media to like reach out to people and make friends.
No, I was just gonna. It's on a different topic, but I was gonna say, like, for me personally, like, I think when, like, I joined, obviously I got a Snapchat in 2012, but like, I don't think it was as like harmful or like, like as bad of a decision as it might be today for like a third grader to have a Snapchat account. I think there's so much more negative social media out there now, and like inappropriate things that maybe a third grader should not be seeing that wasn't necessarily around in like 8 years ago. So I think that's like also a big difference that I remember.
Yes.
I don't remember when I joined Instagram, but like I was posting pictures of like stuffed animals or like Snoopy. Like that's not what you see now. So like it's very different.
Yes, I totally agree. And back to what you were saying, Alexis, I think it's so funny because I know a lot of young kids that go to the day school now, and social media is a big part of their lives. And you're always talking about, look what she posted, look what they posted. And they're so young, and it makes me sad to hear about these young kids knowing about TikTok trends. And TikTok is such a great platform, but it's been so distorted over time, and it's kind of like strayed from the good intentions that were made when it was created. So I think that's a really interesting point that we can kind of get into too.
Yeah, I feel like we were lucky to grow up when we did.
Yeah.
I mean, at least for me, like I didn't like grow up in like public schools like that, but I feel like we grew up in a good time where like we weren't always showing each other's TikToks and the people's Instagram posts and their Snap. Like we weren't doing that, we were like playing outside, at recess.
Yeah, you were just as cool without having an Instagram account.
Going down the slides, and now it's like, oh, did you see this? Did you see this? And I feel like we are so, like, we should be so blessed that
they're probably making like TikTok dances on the playground.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I actually had a conversation with my younger sister. She's in she's in 8th grade now, and she was really hesitant about getting a TikTok account. She has an Instagram. She was really late to Snapchat, but she refused to get a TikTok. And I would tell her, like, it's so funny. You'll love it. All her friends are on it. Everybody would try to convince her. And she said, no, I don't want it because if I download it, I know I'm going to get addicted. I wanted to talk to you, Alexis, because Jessica and I both use TikTok, but we always go back and forth with Alexis because she refuses to download it. And so that kind of relates to my next question, because I just wanted to hear what you guys think about which app is the most addictive in a good or bad way. And then we can kind of talk about like our tactics that we do to get rid of that. But Alexis, I want to hear from you, because you don't have TikTok and you refuse to get it. Why is that? And do you think you're making a good choice?
Man, TikTok. I mean, that app is rotting our generation's brain every single day. Guys, like, it is terrible. And the reason why I don't have it is because I know I'll get addicted to it. And right now I'm in a period of time. I'm a senior in high school. I have college coming up. Like, I'm stressed. I'm stressed about a lot of things. And I don't have time to lay around in bed and watch TikToks for 8 hours. Like, I don't have time for that. And I know if I download the app, I'm going to make time for that, which isn't good. Like, I shouldn't be making time for that. And I don't know. Everyone says that, oh, you'd love TikTok. Like, you'd love it. You'd be so funny. You're perfect for it. I just feel like I don't need it. Like, I don't need that to be happy. I mean, I end up seeing everything on my Instagram and Snapchat anyways. I just feel like it's not necessary. I mean, maybe one day down the line I'll get it, but at this point in my life, I I see so many of my friends are literally addicted. Like, people's screen time on TikTok is like 8 hours, and that is terrible. Like, I can't even imagine. Like, I don't. How are there that many videos out there to watch? Like, it doesn't make sense.
There
But
are.
yeah, I'm team anti TikTok. I don't like it. It's sus. It's a little bit suspicious to me.
Yeah, and oh no, you go, Jess. What do you want to say?
No, I personally I disagree, but that's also because I've fallen into the trap of TikTok. I guess you could say, but it's not necessarily a trap. I mean, I definitely don't watch it 6 hours a day, and also you can learn a lot from TikTok. Like, I have gotten I like the TikToks I see are like food recipes, or you find new music, you find new places to go. Like, the other week I went to this really cute store in Edina, and I found it on TikTok. Like, it was so cute. And so besides obviously getting sucked into it for hours, and like, yes, there's stuff on there again kids shouldn't be seeing, or people maybe shouldn't be spending time watching, but like, I don't know, I find it interesting. It's really good entertainment at times. There's like hilarious videos on there. But Alexis, I understand where you're coming from.
I feel like TikTok, yes, and I agree with you, Alexis, but I also am guilty of the TikTok trap. But I feel, just like Jessica was saying, the good does outweigh the bad. I've learned hacks for school or studying techniques, and I feel like TikTok is the one app that Gen Z has to themselves. There are adults and our parents on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of that, but TikTok is really just teens making videos for teens most of the time. Sometimes they can get out of hand, which I know, but I think there are like communal inside jokes that every teenager in the world understands because they have a TikTok. Or there's these trends, or you talk to people and you're like, oh, did you see this TikTok? It's something on TikTok, and it's hard to explain to our parents why we love it so much. But for the whole addictive thing, I don't know if like addiction is the best term. It's no joke that like they're really compelling and tempting to scroll for hours because the whole feed is endless, and your TikTok algorithm is really structured like specifically for you, which is a little scary, but also great because based on whatever you like, they feed you more of, and that's how it gets addicting. But there are so many ways you can limit the amount of time you spend on TikTok, whether you set a screen time limit. I've heard people do that. Or I don't know, I've kind of just trained myself to say like, I need to get this done. TikTok can be my reward. And so I wanted to ask you guys how like these notifications, the never ending communication and alerts and temptation you feel to go on TikTok, how do you really combat that and continue to go about your day without getting addicted to scrolling endlessly on social media?
Personally, I turned off notifications for like all my social media apps, so I don't actually get like, if I get a Snapchat, I'm not notified of it, or if someone sends me an Instagram DM, like, I don't have a notification that pops up on my phone, and that definitely has helped me. Like, if I'm sitting here doing schoolwork or something, I'm not seeing like, oh, I got an Instagram DM and I'm going to go check it right away, because I often feel like it's very like addicting almost, just to want to be like, oh, like, I'm going to go look at that right now. So instead, that has definitely helped. Like, I use Snapchat, maybe I go on there once or twice a day, like, which still, obviously, yes, I still use these apps, but way less than I would normally if I constantly have it popping up on my phone saying like, oh, like, come use our app, come use our app.
Yeah. What about you, Alexis? How do you find the self-control to take time away from social media in your day and resist the urge and the temptation to go on these apps and kind of have that mindless activity?
Honestly, I don't think I have. Like, I think it's so like digged into my brain to just keep scrolling that I haven't been able to like find a way to stop. And I'm a good student, like, for school, like, I'm able to get off of my phone for hours and just focus on school. But like, and at work, I can get off my phone for a few hours. Like, that's not an issue. But like, if I'm in the app, it's hard for me to leave. Like, that's just how it is. It's kind of hard for me to leave. And with the notifications, like, I've tried doing that, but like, I see the what's the notification? If I can't, I just I just need to. Like, it's such like it's like an itch for me to see, but like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's definitely an issue, but I feel like as we get older, we're kind of in this age right now where social media is such a big part of our lives, but as we get older, I think it'll kind of die down because we have other responsibilities and other things in our lives that are much more important than sitting through Instagram and scrolling for 5 hours.
I think also, though, like maybe for people older than us, like our parents or even generations like above us, I mean, times have changed to the point where like maybe for us going on our phones, I mean, at least for me personally, like scrolling through Instagram or TikTok is somewhat like relaxing, I guess you could say. Like it's a way to kind of like step back from schoolwork or anything else that's kind of like could be stressful or something, and it's just like a way to kind of you can zone into your phone just as other people to relax might zone into a book or they might go work out. Like I think for our generation and the society that we live in, like a lot of kids, like they'll go to their phones and do it. I mean, like 3-year-olds or maybe not 3-year-olds, but like 8-year-olds now have phones right off the bat. And so it's like, it's different.
And I think that's a beautiful thing. And I'm thankful for the world of social media that we're able to learn so much and really get a feel for the world and connect with people from different backgrounds of ours and, people that live anywhere. But I think the harm comes, especially with kids at such young ages using social media, is how even though parental blocks exist and you can do age restrictions, you are not hiding from anything on the media and the internet, and it is totally ruthless, and it can strip you from your little what's the word?
Your innocence.
Your innocence, thank you. Your innocence. And so I think that is something scary to watch out for. And on TikTok, it's hard to control and monitor what you're seeing, especially because of the algorithm. If you love a teenage influencer, their next post could be them dancing in a bikini. And like, I don't know, if I was like parenting a third grader, I wouldn't really want them to be seeing that. And so I think even though there aren't really age restrictions or there's recommended ones, it's hard to shield your kids or kids younger than us from things like that because there's no control over it or it's completely randomized. And so it's hard because there are a lot of pros and it's a really great way to connect with our generation and relax and have that space to just, like I said, do a mindless activity and take a break from all the stresses of real life. But it's important to consider, like, you still have everything going on and you can't get lost in that for too long and lose track of time and let it tear you away from your real life responsibilities. And so on that note too, just kind of shifting from TikTok, something interesting that I see on Instagram, people will change their bios. For anyone who doesn't know like what a bio is, it's really just when you tap on somebody's account, their name is there and then they can write something in their little bio like, my Snapchat account is this, or a quote, or whatever they want. But I've seen some people write, social media isn't real life, that quote. And I love it. It's amazing. But I wanted to ask you guys really like what that means to you and how we as teens can kind of amplify that message because yes, social media isn't real life, but it's kind of hard to, I don't know, it's easy to lose track of that when everybody's always smiling on Instagram or you look a certain way or your filters are put on pictures and you look happier and all that. And so this is kind of a new topic, but I wanted to hear what you guys thought.
Yeah, I mean, I think that line is, it's so real. It's so real. And what that means to me, like social media is in real life. For me, when I see that, influencers, they're gonna post their bikini pictures and their trips to Greece and they're traveling in private jets. They're gonna post that, but outside of what you see, they could be struggling. They can be dealing with a lot of mental health issues and stuff at home, family stuff. I mean, what you see, it isn't real life. We have so many issues and problems that is deeper in the surface, under the surface, that our followers aren't going to see. And so we can try to like put up this facade and seem happy on social media, but, is that the best look? I mean, we want to seem happy, right? We want people to see that we're having a good time in our lives, but, a lot of people are struggling. A lot of people are struggling right now. There is so much going on in our world. And I mean, obviously, we're not going to post a picture of us bawling our eyes out, sitting in our beds. But I mean, that is real life, that is real life, sitting in your, I've done it. Like, we've all done it. That's our lives. And, I think, that's important to know. It's important to keep that in the back of your minds. And for parents parenting young children who are just getting started into social media, you got to tell your kids that. You got to say, hey, Johnny, social media isn't real life, because it really isn't. And if you don't dig that message into their heads, they're going to think that it is real life. They're going to think that these kids have these, classmates have everything they want in the world. They're going to think that, but it's not true. So I think that that's, especially when you're, at a young age, it's important to like relay that message across, especially to the next generation who are going to grow up. And, we think social media is big in our lives, but it's going to be even bigger in theirs. So I think that message is really important to get across.
Did you have something you want to add, Jess?
No, I like totally agree with what Alexis said. It's really easy to like, out of all the pictures you may take, to post the one where you think you look the best and your smile you think is the prettiest out of the rest. And there's so many ways you can edit your photo to make you look, change your body or change the color of your hair or your background, or put a fake sunset in the back of your picture. Like, there's so many ways people can alter their appearance on social media to create this like fake lifestyle that maybe they don't even live. But I think it's because there's been this like stigma, I don't know if that's the word to call it, but like with Instagram, and I know there's kind of like this trend, I've seen some of our friends alone like posting like make Insta casual, and I really think it should be casual.
Yes.
It's not at all. And I think a kind of a difference you can see is like Facebook on one hand, totally casual, but that's mostly because it's like more adults and stuff that are posting, and it's like, oh, here's Jessica's birthday, like whatever. But maybe for us, like posting, I'll admit, like I'm guilty of that too. I mean, if it's my birthday, like I'm going to post the best picture with the cake. I'm not going to post like the ones that whatever. And I think that's because of the stigma that's been created, that everyone feels pressured to follow along the trend of showing your perfect life and everything on social media and Instagram so they can get the likes and the comments that are like, oh, you're so cute. But like, no, maybe the person really on the inside is hurting, and but just there's that pressure that just doesn't go away. So it's hard.
Yeah, and I'm totally guilty of that too. I'll stare at a picture for the longest time that I feel confident about, and then I decide I don't want to post it anymore, or maybe I don't look good enough here, or there's one flaw that I can't change about the picture, and it ruins the entire picture. And so I feel like it isn't good enough.
It's like writing a caption on an Instagram post is the most stressful thing, and I hate to admit that, like, that is such, like, I don't know if you want to call it our generation problem, a first world problem, but like figuring out what to caption your Instagram post is so stressful because for some reason we think that people are really going to care like what emojis I use. No one cares. Like, they really don't. But for some reason we all think they do. And it's like embarrassing to say that, but I don't know.
No, it's unfortunate to, like, I've thought sometimes, like, I could post this, but it won't get as many likes as if I posted this. And that is so sad. Even just, like, admitting that, I feel like, oh my God, like, that's horrible. Like, why would I ever think that? But it's just so true. And it's sad that we care so much about what people think of us, but we do. And there's no denying that. And so I honestly think, like, that whole realization and understanding that every single teenager feels that way, we are all going through this together, can help you realize that social media is not real life. Just thinking of that, everybody goes through this and everybody's thinking these thoughts. We all want to put our best selves on our Instagram, but we've considered, like, we know this will get likes or we know this won't. That's why we're posting it. And so when you kind of think about how that thought process shapes the posting concept or whatever, I think that is really how you can realize that everybody else is going through the same thing, and that is why social media is in real life. Do you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I think
Yes.
too, something that was interesting is totally like contrasting all this, with make Insta casual and everything. People are so afraid to do that on their main accounts, but the creation in more recent years of these things called Finstas, or fake Instagram accounts, fake Insta Finsta, is where you can really like post pictures of you crying in your bed, or post the pictures. Like, people will make posts on their Finsta accounts that say, these didn't make the main, so I'm posting them here. Like, why didn't they make the main, but they can make the Finsta? It's because hundreds of less people follow the Finsta, and on your main you care who's following you, but the Finsta is more like close friends, or where you can really post on Instagram what you want to be posting. And so, I don't know, what do you guys think about that? Do you have Finstas? Do you like your Finsta?
I personally, I used to have one. Like, I think I posted on it maybe twice. Like, whatever. It was like, I miss camp or something like that. But I deleted it. But I still have the account because I follow a lot of my close friends with that account.
Yeah.
And I definitely think, although I don't post on one or anything, for the people that do, it's definitely the stuff that when they have 1,500 followers on their main Instagram account, they're not going to post and share that with them. And I think partially that shows like, okay, well, maybe like, should you be posting this? And part of me also is like, maybe they're posting something vulnerable that they want their close friends to see. And in a way, like, I see some people that totally use their Finsta accounts to express their feelings or update people on how they've been, either mentally, physically, emotionally, like anything. But it's just like you said, Marley, it's definitely a more personal way to reach out on social media, and a more personal use of social media and like an Instagram platform.
Yeah, I mean, I have a Finsta, but like I don't really use it. I mean, I used to use it, but as I got older, I realized that this is literally ridiculous. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I posting myself like eating an apple? Like, why? Like, now that I look back, it's kind of funny, right? But like, I mean, I like seeing what other people post. I mean, I personally like, I'll post like, the new trend is like
Yes.
photo dumps, and people do that on their Finstas, and it's basically just a dump of random photos in your camera roll that are just, I like to do like really funny ones of myself and of my friends, and that's the new trend right now, and I like that. Like, I just like people being raw. I like people like seeing
Authenticity.
what are they like in the
Yes.
flesh, yeah, it's authentic. Photo dumps are authentic, and when people put them on their mains, maybe not so authentic, but like the Finsta photo dumps, I mean, I like it. I like it. And I mean, with my Finsta, I really just use it to look at what other people post. But like, Finstas are kind of dying. Like, I feel like people aren't really using them as much as they are, because I think people are starting to realize, hey, this is kind of ridiculous. Like, I mean, like, an occasional update, I think everyone likes that. Everyone wants to know how you're doing. But like, back in ninth grade, people were ninth and eighth grade, people were posting every single day. Like, I mean, go you, but like, now I feel like as we've matured, we've kind of realized, okay, like, we're 17 and 18 years old. I think we can get over it. But yeah, I mean, Finstas are cool. I mean, I just don't use it.
But I think also what sparked an idea with what Alexis said is that people are using it less. I think also, I mean, well, we've been living through this like global pandemic for the past, I don't even know how many months, almost a year.
Pretty much.
And like, people have less exciting things to share about themselves. I mean, not necessarily less exciting things, but maybe they're not going out as much. They're not traveling as much. They're not seeing as many friends as they normally do.
We're trapped at home.
Yes. So I think that also is definitely not even just with Finstas, but social media in general. It's definitely shifted a lot from maybe posting your selfie with all your friends out at dinner to you at home hanging out, So it's different, and people have less of a reason, I guess, to post now.
Yeah. Something I told myself, like, kind of when the pandemic was starting, I already don't post very often on my main, just because I don't know, I don't take pictures out. I'm not very photogenic. I'm one of those people that wants to live in the moment rather than like always be taking Instagram pictures. And so I told myself, don't post unless you're on vacation or at a Jewish youth group convention, like something interesting is happening, because nobody wants to see. I'm not interesting enough to post like a selfie in my bedroom, you know?
But I think that you can be, though. I think
Yes.
that that's part of the
That's toxic.
your opinion on that. I think we shouldn't think that way. I'm not saying it's bad
No.
you do,
I'm saying
but I
that
kind
too.
of am. Like, we shouldn't think that, like, we shouldn't think that a selfie of you, I would love to see a selfie of you on Instagram. Like, you should post a selfie of yourself on Instagram. Because people, it should be seen as more of a way to connect with people you're not necessarily with. And I think we totally don't understand that.
Yes.
People have totally thrown Instagram out of proportion to the point where that's not what it is. When it's a platform to reach out to friends and family who, I mean, I have people on there that live in other countries or on the other side of the country who I've literally met once in my life. Like, it's still a way, though, to post and say, like, hey, I'm eating breakfast or something. We don't do that, but some people do. And
yes,
I mean, it's also about like confidence. Like, hey, like, I'm worthy of this Instagram post, and the people that do want to see it are gonna look at it and they're gonna interact with it.
People follow your Instagram to look at pictures of you. And so what I was saying, like that logic, that thought process is so flawed and toxic, but I feel like that's what it's become. Or I'm not pretty enough to post this. This isn't interesting. No one wants to see this. I'm not going to throw it up on Instagram. And I think that is where Make Insta Casual comes into play, and people are becoming more confident in using their account that these people follow because they want to see them. I think it's becoming more comfortable and accessible to, you don't always have to look perfect or be on vacation or be at some interesting event to make a post worthy of posting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I think that was like really on that topic, but I just wanted to ask, and this can really be my last question. Something that's always struck out to me is the pressure I feel to be keeping up with my Instagram feed or keeping up with Facebook posts and just never falling too far behind in what people are posting. I always need to be seeing it on the day it was posted, or a day feels weird when I go a day without checking my Instagram. And camp, because we don't have our phones, is the only place where I don't feel like I need to be checking social media every day. And so I wanted to ask you guys if you are guilty of feeling pressure to keep up with your social media feeds every day, and kind of this whole thing with the addiction, but what tactics can you use to prevent feeling overwhelmed with how much information there's always being posted and feeling the need to keep up with all that information?
I mean, personally, I like never post on Instagram. I just don't. And that probably has to do with being like self-conscious and everything you just described. But I mean, I just maybe I'm just too lazy to post. But like, I just don't post. But I always feel like I'm obligated to keep up with what everyone else is posting. I feel like I have to check my Instagram account every single day, every single hour, just to make sure I'm not missing anything. My Twitter account, I'm on Twitter every single day, probably every hour, so I'm not missing any news. Like, that's just kind of how our life is. Like, everything is at our fingertips, and if you feel like you've missed something in an hour, you feel like you've missed something in a day, in 2 days. Like, it's really bad. It's honestly very bad, and like, being able to find an escape from that is camp. Like, I mean, camp is like a really great place to, get away from all of, feeling the need. Like, there's so much going on in the outside world when we're at camp, and we're just like, we don't care. Like, we're in our own world, right? And I mean, for like coping with that, trying to like help the addiction of having to keep checking your social media, I mean, there might not be a cure to that, like there's might be nothing we can do about that. Like, we're already like
locked in,
dialed into like checking every, we're already locked in, probably can't get out. But I mean, and I like, for my Finsta, I follow like meme accounts, and like I used to like I used to always refresh because I'd always want to see the funniest stuff, and now I just don't even look anymore. Like I've gotten to the point where I'm like, maybe the way to get out of the addiction is just let yourself naturally become lazy. I feel like that's kind of what happened to myself. I've naturally just stopped going on my Finsta to check the meme accounts I follow. I'm just like, I don't have time for this, right?
Just telling yourself there are better ways that you could be spending your time, and this isn't real life, so I should be focusing on what is real life and how I can make my real life much better than the world that I live in when I'm trapped inside my phone.
Yeah, that's so, and
Right.
also I think a good way to like tell yourself, or a good thing to tell yourself too, is just like someone else's post like really has no impact on your life. I mean,
Yes.
like I think that's like a big thing, because I think sometimes you could see friends hanging out together and maybe you weren't invited, or maybe they got to do something you didn't, or something like that. But kind of taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture and being like, okay, this is social media. It's not, which I know is so hard. Personally, I think it's really hard to do that, and a lot of times I don't do that, and it can lead you to get upset or feel like you missed out on something big. But we definitely all could take that into consideration and just kind of think of the bigger picture and realize like, hey, this doesn't really matter. Like, it's not gonna impact us, and like just to move on.
Yeah, I love that. That's really great advice. And I think I kind of want to leave with that because I love that note, and it's positive and it's good advice. And I think that's all the time we have for today. So, Jess, Alexis, I wanted to just thank you so much again for joining me this week and for sharing your wisdom with everyone. And to all of you, thank you so much for listening to Spill the Soup. Before we go, please make sure to show some love for the podcast by subscribing and rating 5 stars to whatever platform that you're listening on and wherever else you get your podcasts. We're planning on coming to you every other week, so stay tuned for our next episode coming soon, and I will see you then. Thank you so much for tuning in again. Spill the Soup is part of the Jew Folk Podcast Network. Please subscribe, rate, and review the show wherever you get your podcasts. For more information, go to tcjewfolk.com/podcast or email the show at podcast@tcjewfolk.com.